love for me. It's true. I believe you when you say you'll be loving me. Oh, troubles come, but they do pass. Heartaches hurt, but they don't last. This time I will be still. Fear is not welcome. Fear is not welcome. Your love for me. It's true. I believe you when you say you'll be loving me. Oh, troubles come, but they do. What's up, everybody? Hope all is well out here in the world. Hope everybody had a good holiday. Blessed and rested best you could. What's up, Gorgeousness Williams? I've never seen a name like that before. That's awesome. From Oakland. Steph, what up, man? We're going to let a few more people come on. I'm going to start singing. Still, hashtag still. That's what's up. Y'all listen to it. Hey, and while I got you, too, before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the YouVersion devotional we have. It's like a podcast type deal. You could just listen to it 2-3 minutes. What's up, wife? I see you with the clap. Wave/clap. Mary Elizabeth from Oklahoma City. What's going on? Osirik. B, what's up, Chicago? You good? What them Bulls do with the draft, man? That was terrible. Well, maybe they have a super genius plan that I'm not hip to. Althea Tarver, good to see you. One more time, man. Y'all make sure y'all tune it. Y'all sign up for the YouVersion. It's on the Bible app, the YouVersion devotional for Still. It's like a companion app, companion devotional to go with the new music. You know what? Speaking of new music, I think I'm going to sing a song. Let's do something. For so long I stood with my arms crossed, waiting for an answer to my prayers, not realizing everything I prayed for was right there. But my vision was clouded by the storms on the rise, too blinded to see what was right before my eyes. Oh, it was right there. Oh, it was right there all the time, waiting for me. Waiting for me, my dreams were. And if you're not careful, you can overlook the very place you're standing in. Wait, let me say that again. Not long ago, you prayed to be in the very place you're standing in. I want to help you see it, my friend, because I was that way before I realized that my dreams may come in a different shape and size. Oh, it was right there. Oh, it was right there all the time, waiting for me, right there, waiting for me to try again and just believe that the God we serve, He answers every plea. Yes, he does, but you can pray and pray like you should each day, and the answers still escape your sight. When what you need to live your dream starts with opening up your eyes to see what God is doing, what God has done, how God keeps moving, how you've already won. And if you get weary or the way seems unclear, remember the favor and faith that carried you here to the dreams that you prayed for and the blessings all around. Don't you forget it. In fact, say this with me right now. I prayed for this moment, but forgot I prayed for it. Now that I can remember, I want to thank God for it. Yes, I prayed for this moment, but forgot I prayed for it. Now that I remember, I want to thank God for it. Yay, yay. All right, all right, all right. Your dreams are waiting on you. I pray you find a way. Plant your seeds of faith wherever they need to be planted. Do what you need to do. One mustard seed of faith at a time. Believing God can move the mountain. I wanted to do that song tonight. One, because it's from the new project Still. And two, because I believe we have somebody on tonight that helps to facilitate dreams, especially for those who help themselves. I'm not going to belabor you with all of his many accolades and bio unless he informs me to do so. I will tell it if he wants me to tell it. But he's a music executive and television producer, and I just know him to be a very genuine cat. And so I've looked forward to having him on. He is a leader in the industry that I'm in, the gospel music industry, and I'm honored to have him with us here tonight. His name is Phil Thornton. I'm about to bring him in right now. Let me see if I can add him to the stream. Phil, you need to get some applause for I.
Oh,
That's
I
not
get
enough.
applause?
That's not enough. That's not enough. That's not enough. There you go. How you feeling now?
I feel good. I
Hold
feel
on. That ain't
welcome.
enough. That ain't enough. I need excellent. I need excellent. Hold on. There you go. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you so much. Like, you're far too kind.
Hey man, you are kind. Thank you for taking the time to come on and share with us tonight for this, man. It means a lot to me. I know you could be
Man,
anywhere in the world. Probably are headed somewhere in the world soon.
I'm at home. I'm at home in Tennessee. Now, I'm honored. Thank you for having me on. I really, you're one of the most genuine people I've met in our industry, and you've always been consistent. And again, I just think the irony that we kicked off the year in for Compassion and DR together, and here we are, kind of concluding it. So this kind of full circle for me, though. But
Ain't
good
that
to see
something?
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. It seemed like it happened like that, right? But
yeah.
that's
A
what they
lot has
say in our
changed.
faith. Life is filled with swift transition, and so you got to be
Indeed.
prepared for that. And it's what I think is cool about that is when you got people in place that can lead and through transition like you, like yourself, man. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with myself and my listeners. Uh, there is something I wanted to say about your bio, and you said it in here twice. Uh, that you're fearless. You said it
Yeah.
twice, right? So I wanted to just jump off right there, man. What does it mean when you say that you're fearless? And maybe, because I didn't want to read the whole bio, only
It's a
because,
long bio.
yeah.
I got a short one and it's a long bio though. I'm
But
trying
I want to ask you, Phil,
to.
before we jump into the fearless
Yeah.
part,
Uh
what
huh.
is it that people should know about you? Because you're not in front of the camera, you know what I mean? But you can influence that. When I say that you help to facilitate dreams. That's a big thing, right? So, what should people know about you when they see your name?
They should know that I am a man of God. I'm a Virginia native. I'm an executive at RCA Inspiration, division of Sony Music, and I love to create content and work with amazing people. I don't care if it's TV, if it's film, if it's podcast, which I'm doing now for one of our artists. I don't care, but I love just working with amazing people and putting positive content into the universe. So
Beautiful, beautiful. What's the
yeah.
most What's the most notable thing you've done? And this might not be the same thing. The most notable, and the thing you're most proud of.
Wow. One of the things I'm most proud of, I have to be honest, let me go most proud, then most notable. Most proud of was actually when I produced Tamala and David Mann's series for BET and TV1, because it was, I feel like we see so many not so positive images of African Americans on television. So to be able to combat that negative stereotype and really be able to drive. So that to me, and yeah, we won an Image Award. That was great. That was fun. But that, and I would say the most notable, man, that's I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't know. I've had some notable moments, but I would say working with the chapter now that at RCA, that this has been cool. Kind of Kirk Franklin was one of the artists I first started listening to. That was my introduction to gospel. So that's notable to me, and to now be working alongside him and his team. So that's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that comes to mind. There's so many notable moments and notable individuals.
Okay. I appreciate you searching your heart and mind
Yeah,
to answer that question. Thank you. And
yeah.
yeah, of course, we love the Mans, man. Not only are they funny, but like you said, they are really big on family and keeping it together and moving forward together. So that was a beautiful, beautiful look. Uh, and I imagine to have the opportunity to do that, and this is my segue. You had to have demonstrated some level of fearlessness.
Hey, Brian, you're low.
Am I low now?
Yep,
How about now? You still low?
yep.
How about now?
Much better.
All right. So wow, that's so interesting. Okay, so we back
Yeah.
with the mic. Okay, so talk to me, man, about when you say that you're fearless. What does that mean? Is that like you talking about in your career, like the choices you made career wise, or this is your whole life, or how does that manifest?
So my life, fear doesn't exist. Faith over fear for me is always what has been starting in this. That's personally, that's professionally. You looking at someone who went to Catholic school growing up, Brian. So I had a class called religion back then that I used to have to study, and so we had to study the Bible every single day. And I remember just so many, whether it was in Psalm or Deuteronomy, and they would talk about fear. I mean, it's throughout the Bible. So fear is something that I never, I was just always unapologetically me, and just like, yo, I'm gonna take a chance. And whether it's personally, whether it's professional, again, I got my first internship at 12 years old. I had no fear, I had no concept of it. So that's why even now I try to instill that with the people around me. Like, utilize the gifts that God is giving you. And if it's really truly where your purpose and your passion intersect, but don't be wondering like, oh, I wonder if I can, or I don't know, I'm scared, but what if this happens or this doesn't happen? Well, what if you do try? And then what? So yeah, fear just doesn't exist. I just, I'm sometimes too crazy with the fear, I'm thinking about going pre-COVID, I was going to go skydiving. So that's how, but things have changed. But yeah, but fear just doesn't exist. I tell people all the time, just it's a negative. That's that negative thought, that voice that you just got to block out. But in every aspect of my life, I really apply that. Fear doesn't exist.
In your experience, given in the entertainment industry
Mm-hmm.
and gospel music in particular, even,
Mm-hmm.
what do you see as the biggest fears that people are dealing with?
So many. I see insecurities, and we all have insecurities. Don't get me wrong there, but I think people worry about perception a lot. I've seen that as something that people are fear, like if something is released and where's my chart positioning and what are others going to say, or if I change this my sound or my visuals, like how is it going to be received? It's very rare that I've seen people just kind of be unapologetically themselves and say, you know what, this is what God gave me. This is what I want to do. And I respect that. Even if I don't fully understand it at that moment, I respect it. And I think that you really have to just kind of stay true to your calling. And that's something that sometimes people, it's easy to be distracted because we got so many people that are the experts, right? They want to tell you, well, I'm the marketing person, or I'm the A&R, or I'm the digital, and it's like, okay, I get it, I respect that, but this is my gift. So that's why it's a delicate balance, and I always try to make sure that with our artists and partners, and I don't care if it's on the record label side or if I'm producing a TV series, like that's super important to make sure that you're respecting everyone's contribution but fear is real, and I just try to tell people like don't be scared because it's not going to get you closer to your goal. You have to try new and fresh and innovative ways to promote your music and your ministry.
Guys, we're talking to my friend and brother Phil Thornton, music executive and television producer extraordinaire. We're on Breathe Again tonight. And I want to invite you, if you have any questions, to put them in the chat. Uh, we're talking about his career, and we've been talking about his fearlessness and how that's something you've developed since you were young. I'm thinking about someone who I've admired since I was a child. Since I was younger, and that was Michael Jordan, who, when we watched him, he was never afraid of taking that shot. And you can read stuff on him, and he'll say, "I never let the misses keep me from trying to make them in the future. Like I never let those keep me or disqualify me or make me fear making that shot because of the work I put in. I believed I could make that next shot, regardless of the misses." I imagine, and I'm not even going to imagine, I just know as an artist, sometimes we're afraid of failing. Those are the things that, we try a thing and we fail and we think I don't know how we're going to keep moving forward. I imagine you've experienced some failures along the way. How have you dealt with those failures? What have you learned the most from? Maybe one or two you could share.
One, the failures make me stronger, make me wiser. I'm grateful when I get the yes, but the 10 no's that lead up to that yes, I appreciate those. I'm that individual because I dissect the conversation, that meeting, the project for that matter, to say, well, what maybe didn't appeal to the audience or appeal to the executive or to the artist in that conversation. So I'm always, it makes you sharper. Because if I'm getting a whole bunch of yeses, and I've gotten some great yeses, but I've had 10 times more no's and doors closed. So this year, just to give you an example, on the television side, I've been developing a few ideas and documentaries, and I've gotten 6 or 7 passes. And one of the people that I put on my vision board at the top of the year and that I said I wanted to work with and do some business with this year, I had a meeting with her network. And that was my yes. So, but it was me looking back at the no's that I received from some other streaming partners and cable networks that were like, yo, like, this ain't really for us, or, this story. But it was just, it felt right going into this next thing. And I'm excited for that to be announced here in another month or so. But I got another show coming on with a very significant billionaire, who's, I mean, I'll let you do the math, but she's got her own network.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, yeah.
Their own.
Her own network. So
let me see if I can figure out who that. Okay, I got you.
But seriously, Rob, but I had to go through those no's. Those no's, it was tough in the moment, and it didn't feel good. And it's COVID. And it's just like, man, like, I'm just like, God, like, man, do I still have it? Do I still got it? And, even think about when I saw you in January in DR, we talked, and I literally, I was like, I got so many ideas and things I want to accomplish this year. And the year took a different turn. So it played, it definitely took its toll on me as a human being, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the yes that I received, but I'm grateful for those no's because it made me go back and say, what could I have done differently or better? Or maybe it's just not the right time. And that's okay
Yeah,
too. Because some of them were just, it's a not now. It wasn't a complete no, but you just have to really understand how to process it and just and figure out how to sharpen and make it a better opportunity for the next chapter. And that's how I take my no's.
I love it. I kind of want to follow up on that, but I want to get this question in from Tanya Brunson, who's asking about coming from jazz into gospel and how she can make connections with other singers or background singers as she makes that transition. Could you
I
speak to that
love
for her?
Yes. Hey, Tanya. I love jazz, by the way. I listen to a lot of jazz. I was listening to some Joe Sample actually a little earlier today. One of my I would say really, with COVID, it makes it a bit more challenging, to get into the circuit, as you will, Brian. But I would say, I mean, what would you think? Just, I mean, once things are back touring, there are some opportunities when people are back on the road and maybe auditioning or are seeking additional personnel within their camp. That might be an opportunity. Um, and then some of the virtual showcase. There are some virtual kind of open mics, but it's just not the same. So my best advice is once things kind of open back up and quote unquote get back to normal, find ways to whether it's you're opening artists for some of these artists or just trying to get in front of like when they're auditioning and looking for artists. Brian, how do you look for your singers and everybody that travels with you?
Oh
I'm just
man,
curious.
what I tell people all the time about this business is, for me, it always started with meeting a need.
Yeah,
So it wasn't about, hey, I need you to help me with something. I connected with people who I could help, and so they put me in positions to help them. And
yeah,
over time, as I was helping them, they could see where, well, as I was helping them, and then getting clear about what I wanted to do and what I wanted
mm,
to accomplish, then they could see how to help me. But it always started with me helping them, you know.
yeah,
And so I would tell that to anybody trying to get in, find ways to help. And to your
yeah,
point, that might be a little more difficult now because of the confines we find ourselves
hmm,
in. But that's also it's giving you time to study too. Study this business, study these trends, study um, what people seem to have an appetite for, and how you
yeah.
can help. Where can I help right now? So that's what I would say to people trying to make the transition. And I actually wanted to go into that question too because I I wonder, given your perspective, you're a gospel music executive,
Hmm.
but you work across genres, and mediums. How do you think, where is gospel music right now to you in the pantheon, or how do people view it? How much do they value it?
I think it depends on the individual, but at its generally speaking, I think gospel, there's a respect level for gospel because gospel music has been the foundation for many of our favorite genres. So that's first and foremost. We got to just put respect on gospel music. But I also think there's gospel's behind in a lot of ways on as far as from a technology point of view. We're still an area that's got a lot of room for growth when it comes to streaming and listening to our music digitally on our phones. That is an area we have to grow in, but also it's time to spread the love around a little bit more. I think sometimes when people think of gospel, they think of some of the same individuals, whether that's for an award show, whether that's for a concept idea, but I think we've got to figure out how to usher in more of the artists from this generation and support them and amplify their ministry and what God has given them. And again, I love, like I said, I touched on Kirk. I love Mary. I love Yolanda and Bishop Sapp and Donnie McClurkin, and we celebrate them. We want to continue to celebrate them and hear new music from them. But I think we also have to make sure that the Brian Courtney Wilsons, the Tasha Cobbs Leonards, the Travis Greens, the Jonathan McReynolds that are also getting a lot of the same opportunities and making sure that if there's a gospel slot on the Grammys that, Brian, you wanted to call too, right? I just think we got to figure out how to make sure that we're able to show that evolution of gospel, because I think while we all love the classics, I mean, I listen to a lot of, we all stream, but it's also so many amazing new artists and projects out right now. Like Rich Tolbert, I'm loving what he's bringing to the game. I mean, it's I love Miranda Curtis. There's so many people that's not even on my roster that I listen to. That's like, yo, J. Cole, but it's like, why we got people still talking about songs from 20, 25 years ago, which is great. But it's like, how do we kind of bridge that gap, because we want them to celebrate the greats and the classics and the hits, the catalog, because it keeps our lights on over at RC Inspiration. So I'm completely grateful, but I also want to make sure that we are paying it forward and just creating opportunities for this new generation. And that's where I feel like for gospel music, we really have to step up and embrace and know that things may look and sound differently than you might have someone that's more traditional, but it might be someone that's more contemporary, or someone that comes with something completely different than we're not familiar with. And that's okay as well, as long as it's authentic and what God gave that individual artist or group. I just think that's what's important. But we got to do a better job of, again, just embracing the new artists and technology. Like come on, we're communicating by way of our computers right now. We're on Facebook and Instagram, but somehow there's a disconnect when it comes to streaming our music, Brian. That's a real situation that we've got to figure out how to expand that pool. Like, because again, the shelf space on the retail side, it's not what it once was. So if you're one of the fortunate ones that they put your CD wherever you play one of those at, and Walmart, which is we're great, or buy it off Amazon, that's great. But how do we get our people streaming? Because even on the download side, I mean, hopefully iTunes continues to stay around, but how do we get people to apply this streaming model? Because I mean, you have access to millions of songs, and we see it growing. I'm seeing country grow, because country was pretty much is another genre that's been largely physical for many years, and they've even adopted streaming in a big way. I'm looking at what's happening with Luke Combs and Kane Brown and some of the other big country artists, and it's like, we need to really figure out how to raise the bar in gospel as far as streaming is concerned. We need to.
Well, guys, we're talking to Phil Thornton, music executive and television producer, veteran of this game and creating content for our community. And we're talking about streaming. And I'm going to warily go into the bushes on this and ask you another question. What do you think the barriers to entry are for this genre to streaming? Have you identified any problems?
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah, I think I don't feel like we've leaned in as much as we can with the digital service providers, those being Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, YouTube. I look at my peers within the R&B, hip hop, pop, and country divisions, and they're leaned in. They're like, okay, I'm talking to Spotify and Apple as much as I'm talking to my radio programmers, and it all works together to drive awareness and create the story. But we haven't leaned in enough. So I'm starting to lean in more. I'm talking to the Apple executives more frequently. I'm talking to Spotify. I have a call with them in the morning. It's just, again, let them know what we got coming first quarter of next year. But we have to do that. We got to step it up. Like, I see that's just, we haven't done enough, and we haven't done enough on a global basis. I feel like there's significant, opportunities for gospel music globally. When you look at, places like Africa, where gospel is growing, I mean, streaming week over week. On any given week, Brian, a third of the music that is streamed in Africa is gospel music. And that's just by God just, breathing on just the music in that territory and in the world. But it's like, what if we put some intentionality behind that and say, you know what, how can we partner with Apple in Africa to, whether it's me, Brian Courtney Wilson, and I'm collaborating with the local artists in Nigeria or Ghana, or if I'm doing special liners or drops for Apple in Africa, we got to be more intentional.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you about that, because you have a perspective from an executive standpoint,
mm-hmm.
Where you're deciding where resources are going to go in terms of how we're going to lean in. What would you say to artists in terms of preparing for this transition to streaming that we need to make? How should we prepare?
So it's a lot. I would say to artists and managers, we're in it together, and we have to remember that. And I think we as labels, just putting myself, raising my hand, we need to do a better job of educating our artists, our managers, and just partners in general about what's happening. Like if I know something that Spotify is doing, my artist should know that. So I'm working on something starting in the new year to kind of do a series of I don't want to call it boot camps, but more so information sessions that'll be more quarterly that will update on all things digital. So it might be, yeah, definitely the Apple, Spotify, the DSP side of things, but also the social side. So I want to let them know what's happening at Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and what, just emerging technology, Clubhouse, in general, like what's out there, just so we have the same set of rules. Because if we have it at the label, but our artists and managers and agents don't know what's going on, then it's a disservice. So I think I want to do a better job and see how we can all collectively as a unit, as a team, get on the same page and then devise a plan, a strategy. Because once you know the rules of the game and I know the rules of the game, we can work together. But if I only know the rules and you're like still thinking that the rules are this way, it's not fair to you and your team and your career. So that's something that I'm personally implementing to make sure that we get everyone on the same page to the best of our ability and just have a frequent schedule of meetings just to talk through and go through it, because this is not our future. This is our now. This is our now. This is how people are discovering music. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. That's how you find out about the new music. Oh, this person dropped a new video, a new song. What's the first thing we do? I mean, like, billboards, we might do some of those, like if a Spotify or Amazon wants to sponsor it, but largely people are on social media. So we need to make sure that we're in tune with everything that Instagram has to offer. We need to make sure that when we know, or YouTube is offering, you need to know it. And that's something that we've got to really just be, extremely, we got to get better about it. And it's not just me, but I'm raising my hand and say, you know what, that's the area where we're vulnerable and where we're not as strong as a company. And I'm personally going to, make a difference there.
I love that. And I love the idea of us gathering as an industry. I guess is that what you meant?
Well, I love the idea. Well, it was specific to our roster, but I think it's something that all of the labels should implement their own version of that. Because the people get real competitive with me, Brian. So I just love God and just love music. You know what I mean? But I think it's something that Motown should explore. I think it's something that E1 should explore, and Ty Scott and Malico and Red Alliance and Fair Trade. Everybody in this space, I think everyone should have their own iteration of what that looks like and customize it to your needs. But I think the overarching goal is the same: sharing information, because that's, once you know the rules, you can play the game.
And it's all about, if you have the right information, you can make the right decisions, and you can make prayerfully win-win decisions where everybody's winning. Yeah, so that's beautiful. I love it. We're talking to Phil Thornton, music executive, television producer, veteran of this game. He has plenty of information to help you win, and we are honored to have you here sharing tonight. I saw a question earlier in the night. I think it was from Queenie Lennox. Do we have that question, JoJo? It was a little earlier. Maybe we can come back to it, because I wanted to follow up with something. Oh, here we go, to both. Given the unexpected shift in the industry, how has this changed the opportunities for gospel artists, old and new?
Well,
but you go ahead.
Brian, no, go for it, Brian. Go ahead.
You the guest. I'll just say what I've been seeing. I've been doing a lot more virtual stuff like this, honestly, and I've saw it as a good thing. It's strengthened me in many ways, in terms of I got to figure out if my lights are right, and get the right camera and fight with the sound, like we did tonight. And so, but I relish it, because it gives me opportunities to keep helping, and that's what I got into this for. Was like I felt like I was carrying something that would help people, and so that's how the opportunities have changed for me. We slowly transitioning to traveling a little bit more of late, but it sounds like that's going to be shut down now, going into the holidays. So we got to be prepared for anything. So that's how it's changed for me. But again, you have I think you got a bird's eye view on what other people are saying.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. We've had to be more resourceful in the virtual space. I think that's kind of the reality of our business, because it's not the wise thing to do to encourage any type of travel at this point. I know there's some opportunities to travel, but I don't want to put people in a position that I don't even want to be in. I mean, we've still shot music videos, don't get me wrong, in this climate when things were a little bit better during the summer months, but still being compliant with all, local guidelines. But it's not easy. But I would say the biggest shift is everything has gone virtual. And I can't wait to that day when we can actually get back in a venue or church or something, just to actually be, I love the virtual, and I think this, but it's just like also looking at a screen all day long. It's like,
Yeah.
that's tough. But yeah, but everything's gone virtual. That's the biggest change, but which is even more of a reason, like I said, why we need to just as a community make sure we're up to speed on everything, because this is our reality.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have one more question. My friend Dominic asked a question. What can the consumer help to support these initiatives that you've mentioned as far as gospel music is concerned? You're a consumer. You care about this music. What can you do?
Stream one, make sure you have an active paid streaming account, Apple, Spotify, Title, whoever you prefer, but just have a paid tier subscription, stream the music, tell your friends about the music, post about it on social media like you would any other artist in any other genre that you love. You want to make a TikTok video with some class,
Right.
but anything to just really kind of promote and celebrate these great artists. But I think just being that megaphone that we need for gospel music.
You said something earlier tonight when you were talking about the no's you were getting
Mhm.
and how you know I don't want to put words in your mouth. You you have to ask yourself sometimes, hey man, do I still have it after you get a certain amount of no's? You relate to that question?
Oh, absolutely. I asked myself that question this year. Absolutely.
See, and
Absolutely.
that's what I ask myself the question. I think a lot of people do, especially creatives. We ask ourselves, hey, do I have it? Do I have enough of value to keep doing this? How do you get to a positive answer to that question so you can keep moving forward? Or, oh man, okay. How do you get to an answer where, man, this is not for me? I need to move on. Do you even entertain that?
I don't. I really I have my moments where I really do think about, like, I question it, but I don't get to the point where it's like I'm moving on. Like, I just believe that everything happens in the right timing and things happen in seasons. And I've had seasons where I was selling multiple shows and films, and things were rolling. And it just, when it slows down, it's humbling. It'll bring you back. But during the time when I had a slow period this year as far as with some of the outside projects, while also trying to figure out how to run a label in this current environment, it had me questioning, like, okay, do I still have it? How do I break a new artist? I mean, it's so many things that I'm trying to figure out, and just I'm still learning. Like, how do I break an artist in this climate, Brian? Like, I can't, a lot of my normal ways that I can do. Okay, like, so television, okay, that's still somewhat there, but touring was a big part of how I was able to expose and share a lot of our new artists. And so, but I don't know. But yeah, but back to just, those no's and just the mind games, man. It's just like, that those negative thoughts, I just try to drown them out, to the best of my ability. And that's just continue to read the Bible. I talk to my pastor, Dr. Joseph Walker out here, Bishop Walker. Like, that's someone who I respect, I lean on, and just kind of, and just have to get sometimes some perspective, and just another set of thoughts and opinions, just to kind of help me and to give me sometimes that reassurance. And I got a great circle of friends,
Mm-hmm.
that really just like, man, like, it's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be cool. And I got a lot of friends that's, I'm reading in the trades. It's like, oh, you just announced another film with Netflix, or you just closed this big multi-million-dollar deal. So it definitely, to hear some of them just reassure, to say, hey man, it's cool, you got it, PT, you got it. Or how, hey, why don't we work together to build this? It's like, you got to make sure that circle is right too. And that's something that I've learned, because if you got the wrong circle, imagine going through one of those dark periods and questioning yourself, and you got somebody like, yeah, maybe you should, maybe you need to go on and do something else. It's like, nah, like, I'm just getting started. I'm still young. I still got a lot of ideas that I really, really believe that God has given me, and just connecting me with the right people to help just carry out some of these amazing ideas. And again, because it's just stuff that I love to be the executioner, the one to carry it out, but it ain't on me. And that's why I won't do train wreck, television. It's just like, it was about a check. Yeah. But I have a higher purpose in calling in that. I want to basically continue to give our artists and people that are in our community a platform. So you're going to have to hear some no's if, going that route. You're going to have to.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate you digging for the answer.
Yeah.
I know that was
Yeah.
a weird question.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
We're talking to Phil Thornton, guys, a music executive, television producer, man of God. He just mentioned his pastor, Dr. Joseph Walker, Bishop Joseph Walker.
Yeah.
But
he is a doctor, so I want to acknowledge both.
Oh,
you know,
no question. No question.
Yeah.
And can hoop. Actually, I hoop with him one
Absolutely.
time. He got a nice 3-point shot.
Yeah.
Steady.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, man, because you talked about having the right circle. How do you build a team? Like if you're a new artist or you even been in the game, you got to like, man, I got to figure out who should be in my circle right now, my team.
Man, I would say research. And that research, you could go read a book like Donald Passman, All You Need to Know About the Music Business. That'll teach you the fundamentals on the business side of things, but Google, like research. There's a manager, for example, if I'm a new artist and I'm kind of, this is my sound, or I'm more on the contemporary side, or I'm more traditional, go research who are the managers that work with those people. Who is the attorney that represents those artists? And because that way you can kind of at least get a good sense of, their capabilities and their, and their integrity in a lot of cases. Like, okay, they actually, because I never heard this artist talk bad about their team. They're always praising their team. So it's kind of an indirect, reference. But I would say research for any new artist, research, Google, like find out the best manager, the attorneys. If you loving Brian Courtney Wilson, like who's his attorney? Who's his manager? Who's his business manager? Who's his publicist? Shout out to JoJo. You know what I mean? Like, but I just think it's really, people got to do some research and invest, but also see, and read periodicals on those people. If they've done interviews, because in my interviews, I stand by what I say, even if it's something that my position sometimes will evolve, but generally the basic fundamental, like I will stand on this interview 20 years from now. There's nothing I'm saying that's like controversial, like, you know what I mean? But my thing is read people's interviews, check out their, like what do they stand for? What do they represent? So it's like just really encouraging people, do your homework as new artists and use that discernment that God gave you. Because sometimes people get a feeling like I kind of got something ain't right with this person, but I feel like they can get me to where I need to be. And it's like, that's not good either. Because if you have that feeling and then if and when it happens, it's not good for no one. So, but I just say, do your research, because there's a lot of great managers out here, but there's a lot of shady ones as well.
That's okay. Because I remember asking you this a few years back about management, especially in the gospel space. And there weren't, we determined that there weren't a lot of managers doing this. Do you see more now?
No, not great ones.
Okay. How do you prepare to be a great manager in this space?
I would say first know the business. And I'm not saying, there's college courses you could go to, but again, you could go read a book. There's a ton of books out here to learn the music business. I still talk to managers to this day that don't understand basic contractual terms. They don't know how royalties are, calculated. They don't know just some of the basic jargon that, to me, as a manager, as a representative, as a voice for your client, that they should know. So I think that's the first one. Just find a way to educate yourself. Make sure that you are great with communication, because I think it's important that as an artist, Brian, and I think you would agree with me here, you want to make sure that you're in the know of what's happening with your career real time. So that person needs to have great communication skills, not only with you, but to your partners, whether it's your agency, whether it's your record company. So communication is one of those valuable traits that I think a manager should possess, and just have integrity. I can't say that enough. Like managers that try to take the shortcut and think they're getting over or doing bad business, that just lacks integrity. And one, you in gospel, that's not, in any industry is not acceptable, but in the Christian and gospel realm, you can't be taking and stealing from people. You can't do that. So
I don't accept it from my plumber. Like if the
yeah.
like we just don't do it.
Oh,
You know
you
what I
can't.
mean? I
But
go ahead. I'm
But
sorry.
there,
I didn't
but
mean to
there
cut
are,
you
but
off.
there are managers that, as you know, I don't have to name any names, that they just don't do the best business, and and there's some people double dipping and taking more money than they should, or just doing things that are just not above board, and that's just so unfortunate. Sometimes people stay around longer than they should, but it's just like you have to really make sure that the person is just has integrity. That's super important as
And
well.
I was gonna ask you because I think sometimes I think that's relative to people. Like people think they I am acting with integrity, and that's just what the right thing was. And I was gonna ask you like a specific example of what you thought was disingenuous, so to speak.
I would say for some managers that I know that sometimes have taken advantage or done even double contracts with their artists as far as paid dates that I found out about.
Wow.
And again, so like for example, if an engagement was for $15,000, the manager told the artist that it was for $10,000 and still commissioned them on the 10,000 and then pocketed the five that they never told the artist about. That's not healthy. That's not honest. That's stealing.
And
And so
it doesn't just hurt the artist. It hurts. I believe it hurts everybody coming behind it, right? Because
absolutely.
you scarred the venue, you scarred the artist. If the artist wants to go into something else,
Yeah.
they're wary about who's going to take advantage or not. You know, it scars us all because now it's like you're looking around wondering who you can trust on anything.
Absolutely.
You
And
know,
you can't blame it. And that's why I was talking to BB Winans yesterday, who lives by me out here in Tennessee. And so we were talking, and he was just saying how, as an artist, you just want to do what you love. You just want to come into it and create great art and music. And and it's unfortunate when those pure-hearted people, artists and creators, come across the people who don't necessarily mean they may mean well, but it's just their intentions in there and their actions end up hurting these people for longer than they imagine. Because when someone steals from you, you'll never forget that.
right?
It's like someone, you know what I mean? Like someone stole from you. Like they took away money out of your pocket, which potentially money out of your family's pocket. I mean, it's just not, you'll never forget that. And so you're always gonna want to, but in all fairness, you should also have a checks and balance system to make sure that there's a set of eyes watching, on all sides. So that, there's the attorney, watching the manager. So to speak. I hate to say watching them, but it's just like, but you need checks and balances. So,
Hmm. Guys,
but
we're talking to Phil Thornton, music executive and television producer, man of God, BB Winans' neighbor. You ever seen BB Winans jogging? He go jogging every day. You ever
yeah, I
see him?
just was joking with him about, because he's out there, like, I mean, 2 days ago he's out there
Oh,
19 degrees.
I mean,
19 degrees. I said, baby, why are you out there? It's 19 degrees. He said his cutoff is at 17 degrees. I said, bro, like it's 19 degrees. I was like, bro, 19 degrees? Yeah,
yeah,
so
I really
no.
admire it, man. I really
Yeah.
admire it.
Yeah, he's committed. He's out there 5-6 days a week.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, man, I wonder because I know you're a music lover. Top three songs all time for you.
Oh, top three songs all time. You trying to, I don't even, I would say, okay, I'm just gonna give you. I'm not thinking about genres at this point. Just some of my favorites randomly. A top three. I would say Kirk Franklin's "Why We Sing,"
Mm.
Stevie Wonder. Jesus, so many favorites from Stevie. "Love's in Need." I'm see the songs of the Key of Life artwork in the background. I see the vinyl behind you, and uh, geez, this might be random, but this is one of my favorite R&B songs of all time, and people don't would probably wouldn't even think it. But it's from my '90s era. Uh, Babyface wrote it. Tevin Campbell's "Can We Talk," one of my favorite
Can
songs.
we talk? Yeah.
Just that's a well written. That's a great song. But yeah, just you getting me off. I'm just random in my but and I got to say something from Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill is one of my favorite artists, and
Incredible.
still to this day. So I would say just honorable mention X Factor, Lauryn Hill.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I appreciate you answering that question for me.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think is next for gospel? Like what? I want to ask this question right though. What are you hopeful about in the genre? Like what man, this is something to really feel good about. And then what do you think is next? Where are we headed?
I'm hopeful about a lot of the new artists I'm seeing. I'm hopeful about Rich Tolbert. I'm hopeful about Doe. I'm hopeful about Corinne Hawthorne. I'm hopeful about a number of just the new faces and new sounds that I'm seeing and hearing, and it's encouraging. Um, what I want to see happen is gospel artists embrace not only the digital and technology side, but the business and figuring out how to create those additional verticals that are still faith inspired. So whether that's a podcast, whether that's a festival, on the touring side, once things get back to normal, whether that's your own film, whether that's you're writing a book, whether that's, what I mean? I just think we've got to, as a community, figure out the business side of it. Because when you think about your favorite R&B, pop, hip hop, country artists, they're making sure like they are maximizing while they're on cycle, all of the various ways to basically promote their music. And so I think gospel, we've got to really just think about, even, and it may not look the same as some of our mainstream peers, and that's fine too, but a lot of us have a lot to say. And that might, again, the audio is one version of it, but hey, write a book, write a series of books. I just think there's a lot of opportunities out here, different verticals that we should be exploring as a community, that can not only help one artist, but multiple artists. But yeah, that's what I want to see going forward. That's us, like the technology side we touched on earlier, embracing streaming, growing there, but also growing the business, because that also grows the business.
Verticals.
People
So
watching, so when you see people at home that, when pandemic, we still watching Netflix and Hulu. So why can't we have more faith, films that we create? Or if Brian Courtney Wilson wants to create his own Christmas movie next year and sell it to Hallmark. Like those are the type of things I would love to see. I think there's a lot of opportunity in gospel. We partnered with Pharrell Williams on his new choir that he did a Netflix show around called Voices of Fire. That's 6 episodes. But again, like, man, how cool would that have been if that was Hezekiah Walker who did that show, or Ricky Dillard? You know what I mean?
but okay, I'm sitting here thinking the same thing. So what other
And I
people?
sell and Pharrell. I'm just saying, and I celebrate Pharrell. That's my brother. I've known him since I was 15 years old. But it would have just been cool to see a gospel artist develop that concept and take it to the market. And again, we honor Pharrell, we celebrate Pharrell, we're excited for that. But I just think but again, so I just say all to say that the marketplace, Pharrell has just now created an additional space, in the market for, so Netflix probably is going to be that much more receptive to the next time there's a gospel pitch coming in the room. Someone, a gospel idea. So that's the blessing with Pharrell. That's the blessing even with Kanye. You know what I mean? Some people have their opinions on him and his political affiliation. I'm not going there, but I can say, as far as him, releasing gospel, releasing gospel records, that has helped the genre. Because for those people, think about it, Brian, that those people that the television networks or the award shows or morning TV or Spotify, Apple, like, oh, Kanye's doing gospel, so must be something else there. Who else is in gospel? Who else is viable? Who else? And it's been, to me, that's been one of those indirect benefits. And even when I did the deal with Snoop a couple of years ago, like that was something that Snoop was very much like, man, I just want this to shine light on gospel, because this is some of the best in the music industry, period. And so I'm hoping my project is just going to be one of the things that just shine a light on this talented crew of people. And so that's how every time we would have a meeting with Spotify or Apple, Snoop was like, yo, have you heard Ty Tribbett? Have you heard, Bishop Rance Allen? Have you heard Fred Hammond? Like, that was the whole mission. So we need more of that. But back to the choir show. It's a great show on Netflix, Voices of Fire. But I just wish that I would see more gospel artists exploring opportunities to create content, such as whether it's unscripted or scripted.
Oh man, okay. Well, how do you put yourself in position to do that? I think sometimes you may want to do that. You just don't even see it as an option. You don't know what the first step is that you should take. What would you say to a gospel artist that aspires to do something like that?
I would say come up with the idea, flush it out, have a good, even if it's just the best skeletal outline that you can create based on the idea, and figure out who is going to be the best production partner. So is it someone reaching out to me? I take calls, I take meetings all the time. Is it someone going to Holly Carter, who's doing a lot of amazing content, who is a believer, I just saw her special on OWN that aired this week, for the Christmas holidays. And she had the Clark Sisters movie early this year. She's doing the Mahalia Jackson. So there's people that are right here, just a phone call or two away for, a lot of the artists in the community to say, hey, I got a great idea. Because for me, I'm all for the great idea. I don't care who brought it to me, because if it's a great idea, we can go sell it together. So I think the first step is really flushing out that idea, and then and figuring out who's going to be the best partner to execute, and get across the finish line.
Okay, guys, we're talking to Phil Thornton, music executive, television producer, and he's all for a good idea. Can you put his phone number on the screen, please?
Yeah, give him JoJo. Give him my 201 area code.
We do have him on Twitter. Though. Reach out to him on Twitter, man. I know he answers back, and I know there's some great ideas. People listening right now with some great ideas, and you want to get it to the right people who can nurture it, help you fund it. In fact, there's a question from Camille. I see it up there now. I'm an aspiring songwriter. I've written about 10 songs so far. I know several people in the industry, artists and producers. What advice can you give me to present my songs to applicable people?
I would ask, do you have a manager or an attorney first? And if you don't have a manager, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. But have an attorney, because at labels, unfortunately, we have to be careful on song submissions, because I'm always one for wanting to hear something new and fresh from the next person. But we also have to be mindful that if someone sends me a song and they hear something that remotely resembles that years later, there could be some legal implications down the line on that. But I just say have an attorney, and if you have a manager, great. And if not a manager, then have the attorney reach out to the record company and kind of formally submit, because most labels don't accept unsolicited materials. So I would just say just have an entertainment attorney that is as noted and respected in the genre. And there's a list of them that we all know, and that I gladly take a call from Heather Beverly or Tabitha Plummer or Kendall Mentor or Garrett Johnson, or who I'm just thinking of, Daryl Miller. I mean, so many attorneys that just come by. So if they call me and say, hey, I got this songwriter I'm working with, they've got some amazing songs. That's one angle. And then the other angle I think sometimes people forget about, utilize your performance rights organization. So I don't know if you're affiliated with BMI or ASCAP or CSAC, but reaching out to your local office. So if it's BMI, for example, and you may be somewhere close to Atlanta, reach out to the Atlanta office and figure out a point person to say, hey, I'm a great songwriter. I'm just trying to get my stuff heard. Because if BMI or ASCAP reaches out to us as well, we're also taking that call as well, just because we know it's coming through a trusted source. So option one, go through your attorney or a manager representative and that side of things. And second option, go through your performance rights, aka PRO, which is BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC.
And that's not just labels, that's artists too, I would say.
Agreed.
Because I get inquiries all the time, and you just can't do that without it being, solicited, right? Could you speak to what that's about? Can you speak generally to what that's about?
We don't want to get sued, Brian.
That's the bottom line.
We don't want to get sued. It just, the thing is, because the reality is I could have a great idea and you might have the same idea in Texas and we might not even realize it. So if I get a song from an amazing songwriter and it's got a certain melody or there's something that's so signature about it, but yet I've got Makiba Riddick, who wrote Won't He Do It For Me for Corinne, working on some ideas. She didn't even hear the song. She's just writing something, but it's like maybe the hook is similar. Maybe there's some similarities in the melody and she has not heard it, but just the fact that you submitted it to me, and then Makiba and the Makiba song comes out and you like, well, hold up, I submitted a song back to Mr. Thornton in 2017. And it's like, and so that's where it gets to be tricky. So that's why I recommend having one of our trusted industry sources, just to keep everyone honest. Because if there is a time where there is a similarity for something that's created, I can call the attorney who I have a rapport with and say, hey man, like songwriter X didn't hear this song. They've never heard this. And again, it's just a different way, but it's really to protect everyone involved.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you speaking to that,
Yeah.
man. I'm so glad we had this time together, Phil.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, this is
Is
fun.
there anything that you want to get on, wanted to say that we didn't ask you about tonight? Anything you want to get off your heart?
Just want everyone to just stay encouraged. I know it's tough times out here, and we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm seeing cases rise in most of the cities and states across our nation, and uh, things have been politicized. There's just so much happening in our country and our world, for that matter. But just continue to just stay encouraged and stay optimistic. Not, you know what? Let me change my list. Sounds of Blackness, optimistic. I'm gonna swap Kirk out on why we're saying it's Sounds of Blackness, but stay optimistic in the midst of this storm, because that is it's just, we have to, because it's easy to fall into that dark place. But just stay focused, stay encouraged, keep God first. This is the time. If you will, I don't know, I believe in God, so I'm gonna continue. That's where I focus my efforts and my attention. But whatever you may believe in, spiritual, higher power, this is a time to tap into that. But I believe in God, and I just want to keep everyone encouraged and just stay positive. And as I know it's hard, and set, still set goals, and just give yourself grace. That's something I've had to tell myself over and over again. Like, it's okay that, you didn't get that done this week. It's all right. Like, there's a lot happening in our world, and give yourself some grace. So that's where I've been. But yeah, optimistic. I listen to that song literally every single day. It is one of my most played songs by the Sounds of Blackness, written by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and I think Jim Wright penned that too. But that's one of my favorite songs, and just the message and just staying optimistic, and just it just picks my whole mood up. And but just beyond the song, just I'm an optimistic person, and I just always want to believe that there's sunlight after the rain. So
Man, even as you were saying that, I just for gospel artists, inspirational artists, this is an opportunity. I think
yeah,
we're gonna get things to say to keep
yeah,
people's heads lifted, and that's what this is
hmm
all about. Coming up with the content that keeps people moving forward and keeps their head up. And so, man, I appreciate the role you play in helping us to share that content with the world.
wow.
Man, thank you so much. Thank you
Nah,
for
thank
that
you.
background you got. That's really dope that you
No, you
provide.
so yeah. It's everybody. I normally have a virtual background on, but I said I'm with my brother today, so I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm just in my office right
Man,
now
that's
at the
sweet.
crib.
I like
So
it. I
yeah,
like it a
just
lot.
a few compositions on classical compositions, all combined into one piece of art. So yeah,
That's what's up. I want to
yeah.
shout out Nikisha Weaver too, man. She keeps showing you love, encouraging here in the chat.
What
Says
up,
she
Nikisha?
very, Nikisha.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she's showing love, man. Thank you for that. I think we all need that. People that'll just shout you out, just
Yeah,
love on you, and encourage you, man.
absolutely.
So that's what's up, bro. Thank you so much for your time this evening, man. Again, it's been an honor to speak with you. I, I, I,
Man,
that's all I can say.
Brian, man, it's my pleasure, man. This was really dope. I'm super proud of you, man. Just keep doing it, and just keep putting that positivity into the atmosphere, man. We need it. We need artists like you that, one, have the heart for God, but the talent also to match it, man. You got it, and just keep it going, man. That's just a me. I've told you this in private. I'm gonna tell you in public. You one of my favorites, like for real. Like you cold, and I'm not just saying that. Just I've said this to you in private, off mic, and I stand by it. But we need artists like you. You are necessary, and I just appreciate you, and just thank you for having me on your platform.
Thank you, my friend. That's gonna keep me, man. I'm gonna keep shooting. I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
shooting.
keep shooting. Got to. Maybe I could get you a different jersey soon.
Yeah, they messed up
I'm
my
just
jersey.
playing, Motown. I'm
Oh,
just
I see what you're
playing. I'm
saying.
just
I see what you're
playing.
saying.
I'm just playing. I want nobody to say I'm poaching.
Nah,
I'm
shout
just
out.
I'm just hanging out with my brother though. But no, you necessary for our industry, and just but again, as we talked about creating those additional verticals, this is what you did. This is what Breathe Again is. Come on, man. You know what I mean?
Can I
Like this
can
is
I shout out my label too that you brought up,
please.
man?
Yeah.
Because I've talked about this a lot in interviews. We just put out my fifth project. It was
Mhm.
probably the most difficult project I've ever had to do because of the confines we were in, and then the George Floyd protest. That weighed heavily on me personally. I wanted to shout out my label, just coming alongside and helping me put some content out. Period. In this season this is not this is difficult for everybody, you know. And
Yeah.
so I appreciate their partnership in that regard. And there's a lyric from a song I sing a lot that says that no one man can tell the story. I think we have so many perspectives that it takes a team of people, a village of people, to really tell and manifest the story about who our
Absolutely.
God is, how great He is, why you can believe that you can keep your head up regardless of circumstance. So shout out to RCA for the role you play and your leadership in doing that. And then shout out to my team as well, Motown Gospel.
Motown,
We
man.
really
What
carry
up?
that.
What up, EJ? What up, Monica? What up? What up, Ethiopia? What's up? What's happening? You know what I mean? Like that's but no, that's and that's what
And
we have to.
I know how that sounds, but that's how I see it, man.
No, it's real.
We are
That's
in a
that. No, that
reset.
is real.
We are in a
That is real,
reset.
Brian. It takes a village, and to me, knowing how much work that goes into it, you need to acknowledge them and appreciate them beyond acknowledgement because it's not easy. Just to think about our whole business, our whole world has changed, but how we even operate and just we had to reimagine and we're learning. So for them to actually just still want to say, Brian, yeah, let's get some music, let's get some content out there and having a plan and having some intentionality behind it. It's like, man, you got to be grateful for them and your management. Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris
You
Ayers.
know what I mean?
JoJo is over here putting the comments up for us. Like,
JoJo Potter, the amazing PR. Great job, JoJo. That's an inside joke. Great job, JoJo.
Hey, man, thank you. Just getting the opportunity to laugh, man. It's been good.
Yeah,
It's been really
absolutely.
Cool. Blessings and favor to you, man. May the Lord make you cry in public in ways that overwhelm you because you're so blessed. Like you can't help it. I just don't even care.
Hey, man, I have to say thank you, brother.
All right, be easy, man.
Thank you. Thank you, JoJo. She's saying great job, Phil. See, that's our inside joke.
She's an
Love you. Love y'all.
Love you too, man. Be easy. Hey, thank y'all, man. Y'all have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week, all right? Love you. Your love for me. It's true.